All right, good morning, traders. Today is April 10th, 2025. Hey, my name is John Kerrigan. I am the lead instructor here at BYOB Trading. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody in podcast land, cyber land, digital land. All right. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for following me. I hope to provide you with valuable content every single day. Sound is a little glitchy. Let's pause it. All right, we're going to try it again, okay? Give it a minute to pause. It's better. Thanks for letting me know, because I wouldn't know unless you guys say something. Appreciate that. Let's give it about 10 seconds. And here we go. All right. Good morning, traders. Today is April 10th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at BYOB Trading. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for following me. Thank you for the kind comments. Love that. Just want to say I hope to provide you with valuable content, valuable, profitable content every single day. All right. With that being said, good morning to everybody. All right. My SPY pivot this morning, 522.80. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab 5 still in daily downtrends, all right? SPY, FNGA, Diamond Dow, all made higher highs and higher lows, closing over bearish traps, but below the falling 17 EMAs. QQQ, a little bit different here. Tech making a swift comeback. QQQ made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bearish trap and over the falling 17 EMA. High flyer there. Wow. SPY closed 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute uptrend. IWM made an outside day. It's a higher high and a lower low, closing over the bearish trap like the others and below the 17 EMA. Gold still in an uptrend. Gold made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bearish trap and over the 17 EMA. Silver made a higher high and a higher low, closing inside the bearish trap under the 17 EMA. USO, UNG, both made outside days, higher highs, lower lows, closing inside bearish traps, but under the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We like that. SPY Max Pain, SPY US dollar closed near 102.90 area. SPY Max Pain for today, 528, with a put to call ratio of 1.1 put to each call. That expires today at 4:15. All right. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. Hey, before I get going, just want to point out one of our BYOB traders, Jim S., increased his trading account by 7% yesterday. Jim's on a roll. I think this is his second time this month. All right, way to go, Jim S. Love it. So he gets the Greedy Pig Award. Love that, Jim. Way to go. All right, let's take this down. Let's go look at some charts. We'll start off with the SPY. Let's start on the 10-minute, all right? On the 10-minute. Candles, yellow 3 EMA, up over the 8 EMA. See the space between the yellow line and the white line? That represents a bullish trap, okay? 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday, all right? 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. What did we trade yesterday, okay? You can see it kind of building up, consolidating. So we had like 4 hours of consolidation. All right. And then we got it. See these candles lows just working up ever so slightly higher and higher and higher. All right. And then finally, like a wet watermelon seed between your thumb and your index finger, you pinch that thing and it came squirting out to the upside. All right, so 10-minute uptrend popping out there. So we traded this 10-minute uptrend all the way up into the close right there. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, all right, up into the close. Not only that, it also triggered the green line. Green erases red, all right, on the chart. So we had our green line was right here at, let's just call it 508, all right, to keep it simple. That was our green erases red entry, and I'll show you where the red was. Okay, so green erases red. Okay, so here was the red. See this breakdown from this 10-minute high. All right, all of that was red. Okay, so we had a green erases red entry. All right, right there at 508. So here comes the green. All right, see how the green engulfs the red? Okay, so where would the entry be? Okay, bullish green candle right there. Green erases red. Okay, not only do you have one green erases red, but you got two green erases red. Okay, so here's the second one. Okay, so here's the high. Here's all of this red. Okay, and you had another entry right there. Another green erases red entry. Okay, right across the top of this. Right there, there, or there. All right, another green erases red. Oh, but wait, there's one more. All right, got another green erases red. Okay, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP from this high to this low, and then you get another green erases red right over the top of those bodies right there. Okay, right over the bodies. I don't include the wicks. Right there, and you could have traded that into the close right up to there. All right, so 3 green erases red, 10-minute uptrends over VWAP yesterday. That's what we traded. Made some money. All right, that's how we make profits. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP or the green erases red. Either way, they worked out. So there we go. Green erases red. Same thing happened in SPY. All right, so to get away from that, all right, don't need that. Okay, let's move this over. That's the game plan for today. We'll visit it in just a moment. Okay, we're on 10-minute chart, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. Okay, let's go to the 2-hour chart. Okay, 2-hour chart, candlestick, 3 EMA. See the yellow line up over the white one? See the white line right there? The wavy, the moving average, that's the 8 EMA up over the white one, yellow line over the white one. Bullish 2-hour uptrend. Okay, coming into the close on the daily chart. Okay, we're going to go to a different one here. Okay, we got a higher low, got a higher high, closing over a bearish trap. Looks a little bit different for me. Anyways, higher high, higher low, closing over the falling 17, under this all-time high anchored VWAP right up there. Okay, up over the midpoint, no longer bearish. Notice we were down in quadrant 1. Okay, and we left off, we were in over the midpoint here. So price gapping down. All right. Now, if price finds support, okay, so let's look at where we might find support. Let me just move this out of the way. Get rid of that. Okay, so we have some support right about there. Okay, right on top of that. See that W right there? All right, now they may find support a little bit higher. Notice they're finding support right in that valley, all right, right there. So they're finding support right here. Okay, either way, finding support above. We could have a MMRP, All right. All right. So that means price moves up, pauses. So I want to show this to you. I got to put it on the pre-market so you can see it. All right. So on the 78 right there. All right. And let's go to, yeah, let's keep it on this one. Okay. So 3 candle bars up. All right. 78-minute chart. 3 candle bars over. That's a pause. All right. Now we're catching on top of support. All right. Remember that valley low that we made at 533 right here in the middle. Okay. Catching support right there. All right. Look for the bulls to step in and do, on the smaller time frame, a green erases red. And we're going to look for 3 sets of 3. All right. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 78-minute candles. Moving to the upside, making higher lows, making a higher low and a higher high. Okay. In groups of 3. And look for another one, another group of 3, and another group of 3. All right. Just saying, we could find ourselves, yeah, guess what? All the way back up here at 577, maybe today, maybe even past that. All right, we could find ourselves maybe at 600, 680. All right, I'm just saying, if we get the follow through from yesterday's daily candle, see that bullish engulfing? All right, we're looking for follow through. All right, looking for follow through for that bullish daily candle. We could see ourselves up around 578. I would not be surprised at all. I'm almost kind of expecting it. All right. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am saying it. Okay. I'm kind of expecting it. Price up to around 578, right up there. We'll see what happens. All right. So there's SPY on the daily chart. All right. So let's go back to the game plan. All right. Oh, let me back up one more time here. All right. So that's the daily chart. Okay. That was the 10-minute chart. I showed you the MMRP, looking for groups of 3 of these 78-minute candles, all right? And the group would make a higher low and a higher high, okay? As a group of 3. And I would look for 3 waves of those, all right, to the upside. That would be the bullish MMRP. We'll see what happens, all right? They're on support now. They may not like this support. They may want to come down here and test this support before ripping to the upside. All right, we'll see. If this fails, then it's game. There's going to be no bullish MMRP. If this fails to hold price, 522.80. All right, now what do we want? Weekly chart. All right, let's just get the weekly chart out there. Let's go to this one. Okay, on the weekly chart, still in a weekly downtrend. All right. Monthly chart. Monthly is still in an uptrend, but if they take out this low right here, okay, they'll be in a monthly downtrend. If they take out this low. Now, if we pop back up over the 17, all right, fail to make a higher high, and then come back down through on the monthly time frame, then we'll have not only a weekly downtrend, but we'll have a monthly downtrend at the same time. All right, that will negate the monthly. If we go up over the 17, make a peak, in other words, a lower high, all right, and then come back down through, making a lower low, that will negate the monthly. They won't have to come all the way down here. They're already nail it right there, all right, at 480. All right, but that's a long ways off. That's like 5-6 months away for that to materialize. All right, so there's SPY. Monthly, uptrend. Weekly, downtrend. Daily, downtrend. 2-hour, uptrend. All right? 78, uptrend. 65, uptrend. 1 hour, uptrend. 30-minute uptrend, 15 and 10. All of those, all uptrends. All right? We are gapping down in the pre-market, post-market. Okay, let's hit the game plan. All right, pick it up on the 10. Okay, I'm looking for a green candle for continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. We are gapping down. So like I said, I am expecting the bullish MMRP to play out. All right. For options, all right, I like 1 DTE or 8 DTEs. I actually even like 15 DTE options, okay, with the volatility we're having. All right. I like, no longer is it $2 to $5 out of the money. All right. We've got a $25 10-day average true range. All right. So they're now up to around 10 to 20. You could probably even extend that to $30 out of the money. All right. Because they're just too pricey. All right. If you look at these 0 DTEs, out of the money options, they're going for, I don't know, out of the money 0 DTEs are going for like 11, 12, 9, 10, $10 for an out of the money option. Okay, that's crazy. An out of the money option, $10. All right, so it's imperative you get the direction right when you're paying $12 for an out of the money option that expires in 6.5 hours. All right, you better get the direction right, otherwise you could be paying dearly. All right, this move right here, it's like a $40 move. All right, this move right here, two 10-minute candles. All right, all the way up to 533, right about there, all the way down from 497. So about a $30 move right there in 2 10-minute candles. Okay, that can wipe you out quickly. All right, so be careful. Be very careful. All right, use stops. Be on guard. Know your circumstances. Know your environment. We are in a bullish environment, okay? We are now consolidating over prior consolidation. That is a bullish environment. Okay, we are now filling bearish gaps. That is a bullish environment. Okay, know your environments, all right? These are the directions you're probably going to want to trade, just knowing your environment, okay? So we filling bearish gaps now, all right? And we're making higher highs, okay? So this is a bullish environment, okay? So there's SPY on the 10-minute, all right? So I'm looking for 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, all right? So there's SPY. This green line right here is the all-time high anchored VWAP. They've already tagged it over here. They may slip through or spike it, get on top of it. I would like to see that. Hold that area, and then eventually start melting up. All right, so there's SPY game plan. All right, again, I'm expecting an MMRP. I'm expecting us to be somewhere around 555 to 580, all right, by end of day. We'll see, all right? I don't always get what I want, but that's what I'm looking for. All right, so let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ game plan, pivot, 440.50, all right? Green erases red right up here, okay? That will be green erases red right over 463.80. Red erases green. I don't see that happening, but it might. 415.70, below 415.70. QQQ pivot, 440.50. Okay, same thing. I like 1 or 8 days till expiration. I even like 15 days till expiration. Friday options. Okay, both SPY and QQQ. Why Friday options? They got more open interest, all right? I like them $10, $20, and $30 out of the money, all right? Okay, I'm telling you, there's a lot of volatility priced into these options right now. Okay, to use them for insurance is very pricey for insurance right now. Okay, to hedge your portfolio. All right, so there's QQQ 10-minute. All right, again, I'm looking for 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, again, MMRP will probably play out on the QQQ and FNGU as well. All right, so there's QQQ game plan. You can see Green erases red over 463.80. There's an open gap that hasn't been filled up there. Maybe they can get it done. All right, we'll see. There's QQQ. Again, we're looking for follow through for those big candles. No follow through, and we could be coming all the way back down. All right, if we don't get follow through candles. All right, looking for follow through candles on those big daily candles that we had. Okay, so see that big candle? Looking for a follow through candle. We may rest, but the next day better be a follow through candle. Otherwise, yeah, we could be coming all the way back down to the bottom. All right. All right, let's go take a look at daily charts, look at a few other ones. All right, you can see QQQ, massive green candle, closing over the 17. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, no longer bearish, it's neutral up here. All right, that's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing. See the bearish trap? We're over the bearish trap. Closing over the falling 17. See the 17? That's the red dots. Okay, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. They were down here, quadrant 1. That's bearish. All right, now they're neutral. See how we go down, we give it up? Well, that's neutral as well. Remember, you go up and you give it up, that's neutral. You go down, you give it up, same thing, that's neutral. All right, so there's Diamond Dow. All right, let's take a look at IWM. IWM, all right, a little bit different here, not quite in the location I was looking for it to be, but it is what it is. It is an outside day. It's a higher high and a lower low. Closing over, see the bearish trap. See the 3 underneath the white? That's a bearish trap. Okay, over the bearish trap, closed up here. Right around 190.98. Okay, under the falling 17. All right, okay, but over the bearish trap. Okay, this still in a downtrend. Okay, because we haven't made any higher highs on all of the Fab 5. They haven't made any higher highs. Big green candles, yes. Higher highs, no, not yet. Filling bearish gaps, yes. Okay, and making higher highs. Okay, so those are two bullish environments we're looking for, but we're still in a daily downtrend. Okay, we're just not moving down. Instead, we're moving up. All right, so there's IWM. Let's take a look at QQQ. No, we looked at QQQ. Let's look at FNGA. All right, FNGA, higher low, higher high, closing over the bearish trap. Okay, just under the falling 17 right there. Okay, again, in a downtrend, but not moving down. Hey, I'll take it. Price action, that pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, still under the anchored VWAP, still in the lower third. Okay, that's still bearish. All right, so we'll see what happens. Okay, that's still bearish territory down there in the lower third. Up here in the midpoint, that's neutral. All right, notice that still down there. All right, but if they go down and they give it up, all right, that would be neutral. So we'll see if we get any follow through today. FNGA. Remember, this is the leash that jerks the dog. All right, so this is the leash that's going to jerk the SPY and the QQQ. This is the one to keep an eye on. If you got a 10-minute uptrend in this, rest assured you will probably have a 10-minute uptrend in the QQQ and the SPY as well. All right, so there's FNGA. All right, still in a downtrend. All right, just not moving down. And almost ready to break out of that lower third. All right, so looking good there on FNGA. Just need some follow through. All right. Just need a little follow through. All right, for the QQQ, FNGA, actually all of them, all of the Fab 5, need a little follow through. Take a look at our technicals. T2122, okay, I view this one on the 15-minute chart for higher highs or lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, or higher highs and higher lows. So we started out in the oversold zone. All right. You can see there's the 4 hours of consolidation. And then we had, yes, the breakout rip. All right. The watermelon seed getting pushed out. All right. Goes flying all the way up here into airborne. See that? Right into the buyer's chop zone and makes, look at the high here, a higher high. Okay. That is very good news. Okay. We make a higher low. All right, then we make a lower high, and then a lower low, and then a lower high. But all in all, we close the day up here in the buyer's chop zone. That's very good. Just need to see some continuation to this. I like to take out, that's the next high to take out, all the way back up there. And I think the high of the third is the relief rally to the relief rally high. All right, we'll take a look at it later. All right, so nice day. All right, so you can see here's T2123 on the 15-minute chart. You can see we're still under the falling 200 SMA. Okay, notice we did have a bearish gap that did get filled. All right, a little bit different. All right, not a tall order, wasn't a really big gap, but they did fill a bearish gap here. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. Bearish gap got filled, okay? Selling from the beginning of the day, all right, all the way up until 1 o'clock. And then we had a little boost, all right, to fill the gap. And then you can see they just bullied for the rest of the day into the close. Nice bull flag right there, all right? But from the bigger perspective, this is all bearish. Still not making any higher highs yet. Notice that? Still caught underneath the falling 17. Okay, so we filled one bearish gap. Big deal. All right? I got to see some higher highs. I'm not seeing them yet. All right? So I do see one thing I like. Actually, two. Number one, we filled the bearish gap. Number two, consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay? So two bullish environments that I like to see. And again, remember, every daily uptrend starts out as a 5-minute uptrend. And, and eventually reverses the 10-minute downtrend into a 10-minute uptrend. And then eventually transitions the 15-minute downtrend into a 15-minute uptrend, okay? It takes a while to get that daily uptrend going, all right? But they all start out on the smaller time frame. So here we are on the 15 with some bullish clues right here, okay? So I'm not expecting miracles overnight, but I am picking up on some bullish clues. Next bullish clue I want to see. Higher highs, okay? Here's the high. I got to come up over that high and see a higher high. We'll see what happens when we open up. Hopefully we open up there. That would be really nice. But you can see the market's opening up down here. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so there's T2123. Still caught underneath the falling 200. Let's take a look at the same chart. All right, on the 3-bar, okay, you can see a lot of space here between the fading 200 and the price action candles and the falling 17. All right, a lot of space, much more than I'm comfortable with. Okay, still 3 more red candle bars yesterday. Okay, need some green ones. All right, not seeing any green ones. All right, price action underneath 2 prior all-time highs, underneath a fading 200, underneath the all-time high, okay? Seeing some bullish clues, but not seeing any bullish activity yet for the 3-bar chart, all right? Give it some time. FNGA, price action, bullied from, well, we had a 4-hour consolidation, and then the watermelon pit came out, and you find us blasting through this falling 200 on the 15-minute chart, and it looks like we might be getting a catch on the backside of the falling 200 SMA right here. Okay, so basically just consolidated, nice wind up. And then right here, we got a blast off right through the falling 200. Like that, we're on top of the falling 200. Like that a lot. Okay? Do not like prior day's price action. Bullish gap got filled by the bears. Okay? Nice work today. The bulls came through. Here's a high. They made a higher high. All right? So I'm looking for a higher low. Yeah. And then another higher high. Okay, so we'll see what happens. That's what I'm looking for today. Higher low, another higher high. Or they can go to the right. Consolidation over to the right is acceptable. Okay, just don't give it up. All right, don't go up and give it up. That's what I don't want to see. All right, that would show me that the bulls really are not in charge or not in control. Okay. Move up. I like this. Consolidation over prior consolidation. See all of this consolidation through there. That's a bullish clue. All right. Making a higher high. Here's some consolidation. We're getting some consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish clue over the falling 200. That's a bullish clue. Making a higher high and a higher low. That's a bullish clue. All right. All those are bullish clues, all right? Let's make another higher high, all right? That's the next tall order. That's what we're looking for FNGA. All right, take that off, and let's go see a few sectors. Get a little tongue-tied sometimes. All right, back on the daily. All right, let's take a look at XLE. Here's our energy sector, okay? Notice we were up in quadrant 4 a little while ago, like last week. See that? Last week, we were flying high in quadrant 4. We were in the bullish zone. Okay, then we fell. See this low? They made a lower low. Okay, that put them into a downtrend spin. All right, but now we got some bullish engulfing today. Can we recover? It's possible. All right, yesterday's candle, outside day, closing in the trap. See the 3 under the white line, all right, the ADMA. Closing in the trap under the falling 17, under that pink line, all-time high anchored VWAP, under downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2, okay? Still in the lower third, so it's still bearish. All right, still bearish down here. It's still in the lower third. If they break out of the lower third, all right, that'll be a goes down and gives it up situation, turning it into neutral. All right, so need some follow through for XLE. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, say closing in the lower third, outside day, just like XLE. All right, thank you, Alan. All right, price action right here. Price action is in bearish territory in the lower third. All right, there's USO. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG, outside day, closing inside the bearish trap. All right, under the falling 17. Outside day, higher high, lower low, closing in the trap. All right, under the falling 17, still under the uptrend line, but over, okay, this 12-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, no longer in the upper third, so it's just neutral. Okay, you go up and you give it up, that's neutral. If they can climb back here into the upper third, they will be in a bullish environment there. Okay, so there's UNG in a downtrend right now, making lower highs and lower lows. So that's UNG. GLD. All right, GLD looks like it's going off to make a new all-time high today. Nice gap up. Higher low, higher high yesterday. Closing up over almost a bullish cross. All right, almost over that bullish cross or a bearish trap. Closing up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the 17, over the uptrend line up here, all the way up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Let's take a look at SLV. SLV, higher low, higher high. Closing inside a bearish trap under the falling 17. Okay, under this is a 6-month and a 12-year high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so again, they move up and they gave it all up. So that's just neutral. All right, if they climb back into the upper third, they'll be bullish. We'll see. All right, so we just did GLD, SLV. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH no longer bearish up here in neutral land. Go down, they give it up. All right, that's neutral. All right, closing up over the falling 17, over the trap. All right, but under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, just neutral on the bearish side of neutrality. Let's take a look at XLK. XLK, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17. Nice work. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line. No longer bearish, now neutral. All right, let's take a look at XLF. Got some financials reporting tomorrow. Outside day, lower low, higher high, closing over the trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. No longer bearish, neutral. Actually on the bullish side of neutrality back here. Still in a downtrend. All of those are still in downtrends because they haven't made higher highs yet. All right? SMH, XLK, all right? XLF, see? No higher high yet. All right? Still making lower highs and lower lows, all right? They're just not moving down, all right? They're moving up, all right, in a downtrend. Let's take a look at IYT, and then we'll go look at the economic package. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap, but under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still in the lower third, so it's bearish. All right? If they get some follow-through, they'll be neutral. Okay? Still in a downtrend, lower high, lower lows. All right? Still in a downtrend, just not moving down. All right, so that's IYT. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Let's see what Alan's got up here. I'm going to just share with you. Thank you, Alan. Alan always provides me with good stuff. CPI, month over month, -1. All right. That was not bad. Year over year, 2.4. That's not bad. 2.9. All of those are fantastic numbers, but I don't know. Maybe if the Trump tariffs, work before he has to implement them, I mean, we could see ourselves back up around 650. Those are good numbers for CPI. Thank you for sharing, Alan. That was awesome. All of that is good numbers. I didn't see anything that I didn't like for CPI. That was fantastic. I don't have any problem with that. That's good stuff. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. All right, and let's see if the dollar chart wants to come in. Just being finicky today over here. Just won't juice up. Is it going to do it? No, not going to do it. All right, let's take a look at Max Pain. Max Pain for today, and these are for the SPY options. All right, 528 is the Max Pain. All right, for the options that expire today. Put to call ratio, about 1.1 put for each call. So a little over 1 put for each call. Max Pain's 528. I don't think we're coming to 528, but you never know. We might, okay? See if the dollar wants to come back. No, going to be difficult. All right, earnings. Familiar names today, but nothing that's going to move the markets, all right? The big day's tomorrow, all right? $655 billion, all right? JP Morgan Chase, they're going to be reporting tomorrow. That's 2/3 of $1 trillion. That's a lot of market cap. Okay, one of the leaders in the financial sector. Wells Fargo, $218 billion. Okay? They're reporting in the morning as well, right alongside JP Morgan Chase. Morgan Stanley, all right, $180 billion. They're going to report right alongside the other two in the morning. All right, Progressive, still trying to put together a P&L. BlackRock, 139. They're going to report with the other three in the morning. And Bank of New York Mellon, $56 billion. All right, so kicking off another season of earnings. All right, and the big day is tomorrow. CPI, I got to tell you, looked really good. I hope the market's popping. That's nothing bad about that. Nothing that I could see that I didn't like. All right, so there's earnings. Let's take a look at economic calendar. CPI comes out 8:30 today. We just took a view at that. Jobless claims also 8:30. All right, got a gas report, natural gas, 10:30 this morning. All right, and tomorrow PPI final demand. 8:30 tomorrow morning, consumer sentiment at 10, a rig count at 1. All right. So far, we got through pretty much one of the main events for this week, which is the CPI. And it looks good. It really looks good. We'll see what PPI says tomorrow. I don't think it will be far off of what CPI was for today. We'll see. All right. Don't want to get ahead of myself. All right. So there's the economic package. There's the earnings. And then we did Max Payne. Let me see if I can get the dollar. Well, according to sources, the dollar closed at about 102.99, or right here, adjusted close 102.90. All right, see 102.90 yesterday. All right, still in a downtrend. Love that. Okay, so there's price action for the dollar. So that's it for me for today. All right, at least for this morning. I will see you guys all and in about 35 minutes, and we'll kick off the markets. All right, in 35 minutes. Let me get this rendered for everybody out there in digital land. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for my morning commentary. Thank you.